You ever wonder what really holds our world together? I mean, it's not just the big beams and concrete walls you can see. Nope, it's often the small, ingenious parts hidden deep inside. Today, we're going to uncover some of these unseen connectors, the hidden strength in the engineering that's literally all around us.
Okay, let's dive right in. Take a look at these two heavy-duty steel cylinders. At a glance, they look almost identical, right? But the one on the right, it's got these big, prominent bolts. It seems like a tiny difference, but in the world of engineering, that small change, it points to a completely different solution for a really critical problem.
So that's the heart of our explainer today. We're going to treat this like a puzzle. What exactly are these pieces for, and why on earth do they come in different shapes and sizes? Their job? Well, it's fundamental to the safety and strength of the concrete structures we rely on every single day.
To solve any puzzle, you've got to start with the most basic piece, right? So let's look at the fundamental problem and its simplest, most elegant solution.
The challenge, at its core, is pretty simple. How do you join two steel reinforcing bars, what we call rebar, end to end, so they act like one single continuous piece of steel? Well, the simplest solution looks just like this, a parallel roll thread coupler. It's basically a super strong, precision-engineered steel sleeve. So let's get a real clear definition here. A rebar coupler is just a threaded sleeve used to mechanically splice two bars together. But here's the crucial part. It creates a connection that is just as strong, sometimes even stronger, than the steel bar itself. There can be absolutely no weak points.
So the easiest way to think of it is like a simple but incredibly strong screw. You thread the end of one rebar in, and then you twist the next rebar into the other side. Boom! That simple action creates what is essentially an unbroken steel skeleton inside the concrete, giving it the tensile strength it needs to stand for, decades.
Okay, so that first coupler seems pretty perfect, doesn't it? So why would you ever need anything else? Well, because construction sites are messy, complicated places. And that brings us to our next puzzle piece, which solves a problem the first one just can't handle. And we're back to our friend with the bolts, the MBT bolt coupler. Now those bolts, they are definitely not just for decoration. They are a brilliant innovation that answers a very specific, very tricky question.
Think about it for a second. That first coupler requires you to twist a massive steel bar to screw it in. But what if that bar is already stuck in concrete? What if it's a starter bar for the next floor of a skyscraper? You can't rotate it. It's fixed. So what do you do then?
And here is the genius solution. With the MBT bolt coupler, you just slide the rebar ends into the sleeve. No twisting needed. Then you tighten those side bolts. They're designed to actually shear off at a specific torque, which locks them onto the rebar and creates this incredible grip, all without rotating the bars even a single inch. It's a clever mechanical clamp, really. So far, we've been all about connecting bars to make them longer. But what happens when you get to the end of a steel bar? Sometimes the job isn't to connect, it's to stop.
I mean, just look at the visual difference here. On the left, you've got our standard connecting coupler. It's long and lean. But on the right is something totally different. This is a Terminator coupler. It's short, wide, kind of shaped like a cap. And that shape tells you everything you need to know about its completely different purpose.
And that's the key. This piece isn't a connector in the same way. It's an endpoint. It's designed to finish a single piece of rebar by giving it a strong, secure anchor deep inside the concrete.
So traditionally, to anchor the end of a rebar, you'd have to bend it into a big hook. The problem is, in modern construction where you've got tons of steel reinforcement, all those hooks create this tangled mess. It makes it really hard to pour the concrete properly. The Terminator solves all that by creating a compact, full-strength anchor right at the end of the bar. It gets rid of the hook and seriously reduces congestion. So now we have all the pieces of our puzzle on the table. We've got a standard connector, a connector for fixed bars, and an anchor for the end of the line. Let's put it all together.
This table really puts it all in one place, nice and simple. You've got your simple cylinder, like a cold-forged or parallel thread coupler, for your standard everyday connections. Then you have the MBT bolt coupler with those external bolts for when you've got a bar that just can't be rotated. And finally, you have the wide, cap-shaped Terminator for anchoring the end of a bar, especially when you're in a tight spot.
It really all just boils down to that classic engineering principle, having the right tool for the right job. Every single one of these designs exists for a very specific reason. They aren't redundant, they're highly specialized solutions. And that's the real solution to our puzzle. The brilliance isn't in a single, magical, perfect part. It's in the existence of a complete toolkit. The true skill is the engineer knowing exactly which piece to use for each unique situation inside a massive, complex structure.
You know, these couplers are just one example of thousands of hidden components working tirelessly day in and day out to keep our world standing. So the next time you look at a skyscraper or you drive across a bridge, just take a second to wonder, what other invisible innovations are holding it all together?